Hello and welcome to today's episode of Focus Atlanta. I'm your host, Keisha Lanslin. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. In our first segment, we're going to talk about something that more and more of us are having to get used to, and it is effective remote working. I'm here with author Tina, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that really means. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
My absolute pleasure, Keisha.
Tina, tell me, what made you write the book? Was it this new, state of living that we're in? What made you say, you know what, we kind of need a guide at this point?
Yes, well, I come from Melbourne, Australia, where we have experienced the longest lockdowns in the world. So I joke about the fact that my book, Effective Remote Teams, was my lockdown project. Because while I was sitting at home, and what it meant was that I could effectively work with large corporate leadership teams around the world. And I saw so many people thinking that they could just work in the same way as when they were in the office full-time, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or 8 to 6. And what I realized from my years of corporate experience was those ways don't necessarily work when people are working from home. There are different things you need to think about, particularly as a leader, in how you lead your team when you aren't all in the office together. And so I was hearing all these people saying, my manager doesn't know how to lead properly when we're not together in the office. And I've led in the way for about 20 years with an outcomes over hours in the office mantra, meaning it doesn't matter where my people work and where they work, but it's more important the outcomes they delivered. And that's when I realized, when I was in lockdown, hey, this message really needs to get out there. And there's a lot that I've learned that I can share to serve others. So that's how the book Effective Remote Teams came about.
And it's so necessary. It's so necessary. It's so smart. Again, I think that often when we think about this new world that we're living in, right, we automatically attach the onus to the employees and the onus to the staff. And so, sometimes what gets lost and, dropped in between the cracks are, the way the managers are managing and the way that you are helping them to succeed. Are you helping them to succeed? Are you being a hindrance? Those type of things. I love the fact that you kind of focused on, the C-suite. You didn't just focus on the employees.
Absolutely. So as part of my research for the book, I interviewed a lot of C-suite executives from the large global companies that you'd think of from around the world. And I simply asked them one question. And that question was, what are the 2 to 3 skills that you believe leaders will need in the future to lead in this new normal where we're not going back to in the office full time? It's going to be some form of hybrid for most corporates. What are the skills that people need? And it was really interesting that there were skills that came through that you could get away with necessarily when you were back in the office of how you'd lead your people. So there are absolutely differences that are needed when you're leading remotely than when you're in the office.
Oh, I love that. You're so right. Tina, I can't let you get too far without telling us a website, because we want to know where we can get this. We need this on the bookshelf so that we can pull from it. Is it that type of book that we can, go to, not just read throughout, A to Z, but then kind of refer back to for little tips and reminders?
Absolutely. My goal was always that it would be practical, that there would be, yes, some data and some theory in there, but that it be really for people to go, how do I lead when life feels pretty chaotic and I've got back-to-back meetings? I get sometimes a couple of 100 emails in my inbox a day. How do I do that? So it's really practical of what you can do. And the website for it is effectiveremoteteams.com.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for writing the book. Thank you for reminding us that, sometimes we just need to dip into a different skill set. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Absolute pleasure to meet you too, Keisha.
All right, guys, you have all of the information that you need. How smart is that? Literally, sometimes we get into the, the humdrum of what we do and what we've been doing. And so it's difficult to make these shifts, right? Sometimes you just need a little reminder. You need a book to, kind of pull from and get a reminder of what the best way to succeed is in these new times. Because the new times aren't going anywhere. This is our new normal. We've just got to figure it out. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to this segment of Focus Atlanta. We'll be right back with more.